Hi, so this video is a review of the class that we did together on the Thursday right before break, where I introed rendering in Revit and Enscape. This is going to be a little bit different than the videos that I already recorded in past semesters because as I expand in class, we are introducing rendering and materials a lot sooner in the semester to basically make your lives easier for the final project. So you're not trying to figure this all out and cram it all in the last few weeks of the semester. So Anthony and I are going to work at reminding you throughout the final project that as you bring furniture and things in at the beginning of your project, that you're going to start from the very beginning with a color palette, a mood board, and you're going to start painting in those materials as you go. Now remember, this is only going to be for the rooms that you're rendering. You're going to be designing a huge space, but Anthony and I will be giving you a list of which rooms you're rendering. So you only have to do this kind of paint by number technique in the rooms that you'll be rendering. All right, and I'm going to try to break this video into 3 parts. So here's what we covered in class. So I'm going to do part 1, pause the video so we can break this up and it's not like super long. All right, so just keep this in mind. This will be the list that we're going to be used to walk through this. So let me go back over to Revit now. So what we did in class was we practiced with either like the conference room or your lobby, somewhere where it's going to make sense that you're going to use this image to kind of like help sell your design, like where you're going to have nice carpet and finishes and things like that. Since I've used this model in the past, this conference room is kind of like halfway done. So instead, in my case, I'm going to use the lobby to set up a new view because you're going to see kind of where things are missing and blank. So I'm on level 1 of my floor plan. I've also got it set up, have it set up for fine, have it also set up for realistic, just so you can kind of see where the colors are. And I'll remind you as we go, we're going to keep making sure to have those tabs on too. So you want to go to view, and then you're going to go to 3D view. And underneath that, you're going to pick the camera. So again, the first location you left click on is basically if you were a person taking a photo where you're going to stand. In my case, I'm going to do here because I kind of want to get this whole view here. So I'm going to left click. The other thing you need to remember is to pull this all the way through the building because we want to see all the way out the window. Sometimes you get some weird things happening. If I were to stop here, it would kind of morph it a little bit. So go all the way through the building, left click when you're done. Now it's going to pop up this new view. So right now I want to open up the view window here just to see it a little bit more. So I'm going to pull on the little blue dots there. And you can tweak this and kind of change this angle more when we get to Enscape, but we're going to leave it like this for now. Before we go anywhere, let's get ourselves in the habit of renaming these. So we're going to right click on it and say rename. And in my case, it's just going to be lobby view. So again, as we get to the final, you're going to have a list of ones and you want to have these kind of set up and ready to go. Oh, wait. Oh, I already did one. I think that's why. Hold on. Let me just delete this guy out of the way. We'll get rid of that. And then I'll rename this one. So I'm just going to right click, pick rename, say lobby view. All right. Okay. So we've got that part all set. So now the first thing we can do is kind of check and see first in Revit what's happening. So the first thing we want to do is down here on that first box, we want the detail level. We want to click on that and pick out fine. If you notice in mine right away, it's added a bit more of kind of depth to the molding around the doors. This is sometimes where you'll see the door handle come up too. That second box in where it says visual style, we want to pick realistic. So right away, I want to see, are my paint colors loading? There's already, I can tell there's some weird stuff going on with this door where it's a different wood than say the wood back here, which I think I probably edited at some point, and that's the wood I want. The other thing that probably won't come out in our rendering, but these lines are the lines we use to define the space for our room tags. So I'm going to click on that, right click, and I'm going to say hide in view category, just so that element disappears. And so now that's kind of out of the way, which is good. So we're going to go over to now all the way up to the top, and we're going to go to under view still. So I've still got the view tab on. We're going to go to render. So before we click anything, we want to kind of work our way through some of the tabs. So here under lighting, we always want to double check and change it to interior, sun, and artificial. Later on, if you want, you can pretend it's a night scene and pick interior artificial only, meaning there won't be any sunshine coming in. A couple people found that they got some nice effects and just things looked a little bit prettier on their end. I'm going to pick sun and artificial for now and assume it's daytime in my office. You can also later on come back and adjust the exposure if you find your room or the area you're in is a little too dark. But right now, this is a good start for it. I'm going to put it on medium. You can keep it on draft too, but I'm going to just render it right here to see kind of what Revit is able to pick up and read in terms of the materials in the space. I kind of already know a lot is missing. So I'm going to pause while it's doing that and then we'll come back over. Okay, so right now it's about halfway done and I can see some things are coming through. So like my paint's coming through okay. There's some wood that's coming through, but like I said, I might want to change it. We all noticed our floors are really glossy, so I'll show you how to change that in a minute in Revit. But this is a list of all the materials it can't find. So it could be that when I copied and pasted these materials in from like Steelcase or Herman Miller, there was some upholstery on here, but now it's disappeared. You can kind of tell that everything's kind of gray and blobby. That's because it's not linking to any of those materials. So we're gonna work our way through evaluating that in a minute. So right now, this isn't too bad. But like I said, one of the things that jumps out at me is how glossy that floor is. I'm gonna fix that now. So what we're gonna do for that is, easiest way is to go over to the 3D model and I can kind of flip it around to get a hold of my floor. So my floor, that's the wood floor, is this kind of chunk here. So if I go over to, oh, my properties turned off. Let me turn those back on. So I'm going to view, user interface, properties. Now they're there. All right, so let me make this bigger so you can see it. All right, so here's my wood floor. I'm going to click on edit type, edit, drill down again into here's my material for my oak flooring. So I'm going to click on that. It's coming up there. And see it, for some reason, it has this default of this glossy varnish. We played with this in class and most of us found that we just didn't want it varnished at all. So we say unfinished because the satin still tends to be kind of like shiny and glowy. So I'm going to say apply and okay. And now let's say okay. And we'll kind of flip this guy back around. Actually, we'll go back to our view here. So let me get rid of this for a minute. So here's my lobby view. I'm going to go and render that again just to see if we can see the change in that now. And it should render a little bit faster. So I'm here on my view tab still. I click the little teapot, that's the render. I'm going to go ahead and say render again. And generally it'll run a little bit faster, but I'll pause it if we hit a lag at all. Okay, here's that second render coming through where my floor is looking a little less shiny. Again, like I said, we turned down the varnish on that. One thing I checked is I had to go back and do it a second time because first time I did it, I think I forgot to hit apply. So you got to hit apply. My camera seems to be off a bit as it's rendering. So hang on here. I'll kind of pause it and let it come through. All right, let me just explain that again, because as I was talking, the rendering was coming through and I could see my audio and visual was not synced. So anyhow, what I was saying is I had to go back and check on this a second time because it turns out when I went to make that edit, I never hit apply. So even though I thought I turned the glossiness off, I didn't hit apply. So again, this is one of the annoyances of Revit. They have to always hit apply and okay over and over again. All right, but now I'm kind of liking how my floor looks. Again, there's a lot of issues going on with my upholstery here. That's what we got to deal with. So this is a good first kind of run to see what's happening in your model. Obviously, once we all get going into Enscape, and I think everybody has it now, we're going to see it a little bit clearer too. So now we're going to go to Enscape. And before we do that, one of the things we played with in class a lot is you need to go to this general settings here. And under Revit, you want to have it set for appearance. And let me just tab over. If you forget this, we've got this kind of set up in our Moodle. We've got a couple of reminders of this. So this is right from the Moodle. I'll show you where it is. So here in our Moodle, under Project 4 Rendering, we have down here two links about troubleshooting it. So it's this last one I have up here. So what you want to do is go to General Settings, make sure it's on Appearance. There's another quirky thing that if you still have some issues is this guy here. So I'll show you what that happens. So if we go over back to Revit. All right, so that one's good to go. But way down here under phasing, you want to have, I think it's show complete. Let me go double check because I forget to. Yep, show complete. All right, so again, that was another weird quirk we found in past years that would sometimes clean things up for us. So we want to go ahead and hit the start. So we're on the Enscape tab now. We're going to hit start. And like I said, I'll pause again because this will take a few minutes to come through. All right, so here's my model in Enscape right now, and I like how my paint's looking. My lighting's all working well. These are the can lights from Revit. They're very reliable. I like the wood and kind of my trim down here. And like I said, I think I edited that last semester. But this is a new view for me to look at, and this wood is pretty pretty in terms of what I have already. So this wood and this wood is way too orange. For some reason, I do have some wood coming through here on my reception desk, but all of the rest of my materials are this kind of default white or like kind of grayish putty color like here. So clearly none of the materials I intended or would like to have in my interior design are coming through here. So this is now step 2, where we need to, first of all, just sit here with a piece of paper and make a list of what you're missing. So in my case, I want to find some upholstery for this sofa modular system. I probably want some wood, maybe even some metal for this table. Actually, you know what? That table's okay. It's got some wood and it's got some metal here, but this desk shouldn't be this just putty white. This is a default color. It's kind of yucky. Don't put people or things in yet. We're just purely evaluating the furniture and the systems furniture, like desks and things like that, and the wood that we can change right now. So I need to get some kind of laminate for this desk, some upholstery for these units over here, upholstery for this chair, and this is like a little kind of footstool that can pull out. So it looks like there's probably some plastic laminate on the bottom and then some upholstery on the top that would probably coordinate with what's going on here. So there's a couple things, like I said, my model needs too. Yours might need more or less, but you're going to start making a list of that. All right, so I'm going to pause, start up a new video for this now.